Croeso pawb to the New Year deals and games under £20 PSN sales. It's been a while since the last video, so I hope you guys had a good New Year's and are doing well. Let's have a good start to the new year, alright? This was a massive sale and it's got a ton of games in it, and a lot of games may not be on the lowest price they've ever been on, but it's been a long time since some of these games have been on sale. So if you like the idea of finding some cool games to play and saving a lot of money along the way, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, you're welcome here anytime. Okay, this sale ends on the 29th of January, so that'll be your last day to pick up these deals. Let's look at the games. First up, we have Ashes of God's Redemption. It was released in 2020, so it's 5 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.59, which is really great. In this turn-based strategy, the Reapers have returned with a plan to drown the world in blood and awaken the slumbering gods, but 3 destined warriors rise to meet this threat and save the world. It features an ever-changing story based on your choices and tactics, so replayability should be pretty good for this game. Now, some reviews don't like this game very much, but a lot of them do, and this is quite a rare genre, which is a bit of a niche and not everybody likes. But hey, if you're into strategy games, it's a really good, challenging genre, which is very rewarding if you like puzzling sort of games, or games that just make you think a bit more than normal. And it's got a really cool art style as well. I like the graphics in this game. I think they're really cool. I love the animated style. So basically, if you're a fan of strategy games and you're looking for a turn-based game, there's not a lot of games around like this. Most of them are either indie games or unknown games, with only a couple of AAA ones to pick from, so you've most likely played them. Either way, if you're looking for another one, this looks like a really cool and interesting one, especially for the price you're paying. You can't really ask too much, and at least if you don't like it, you haven't spent a lot of money. So if you're a fan of turn-based strategy games, why not take a look at this one? It's a lesser known one, but it's a really good deal, so it might just be a lot of fun at this price. And hey, if you've never played a turn-based strategy game before, then you could definitely start here. You don't have a lot of options in this genre, and this is a really good deal for a pretty cool looking game. There are some other AAA ones, but they're usually a lot more expensive, so if you're going to wait for one of them instead, you'll have to come with the big bucks. Either way, I'll let you know when they're on sale next in future videos. Our next game is Bayonetta. It was released in 2020, so it's 5 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £4.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal. In this third-person action game, you get to follow the tantalizing Umbra Witch, risen from the depths after half a millennia of slumber. Thrust immediately into battle and missing her memories, she must vanquish her enemies to piece together the truth of her past. Now, this game was pretty legendary when it came out. It's a really good quality legendary game, and it's one of those that's full of action and combos, kinda like Devil May Cry. So if you're a fan of action games or Devil May Cry, then you might be interested in this game. It's a really cool game for anyone that likes action. So if you like the sound of this game, why not take a look at it? It's not a bad price, but it's a really good quality game for that. You are getting a lot of quality for your money. And hey, if you've never played a third-person action game before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting here. You can definitely get other ones cheaper than this, and even big AAA ones as well. But this is a legendary game within the genre, and it's really well liked. So if you're keen on it, you can take a chance, and I'm sure you'll really enjoy it. But if not, don't worry, you'll have plenty more options to choose from in future videos instead. We have a cool little indie game next, Beat Cop. It was released in 2019, so it's 6 years old, and it's on the 90% discount for the low price of £1.19, which is a really good deal. In this 2D adventure, someone has framed you, and now you must patrol the streets, turning over every stone to uncover the truth. It's inspired by 80s cop shows, be serious or be funny, take bribes or stick to the law, with a non-linear story and multiple endings as well. It really rewards replayability, so if you like that in your games, you'll probably enjoy this. Now, generally speaking, you're playing a beat cop in this, so you go on your patrols, you're in the same places day in day out, and then it weaves a mystery story through that, and you get to deal with perps as you want. You don't have to arrest everyone, but you can if you want, so you get to choose who you let off and why you let them off, and that influences the story, which sounds really cool to me, and it really piques my interest. I like cool little indie games like this that have a really cool idea, and from what I've read, this game delivers on that. So if you're as intrigued as I am, why not take a look at this? It may only be a small little indie game, but it's got a really cool idea, and I think it'll be fun for people who are looking for something a bit different, or who are bored of the same old games. So why not check it out if you like the sound of that? And hey, if you've never played a 2D adventure game before, then you could definitely start here. It's a bit niche because it's very different, but hey, that's part of the charm, and it's really cheap as well. So if you like the look of this or you've been tempted by the genre, why not check it out? I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun if you give it a chance. We have a racing game next, Cars 3 Driven to Win. It was released in 2017, so it's 8 years old, and it's on a 93% discount for the low price of £3.35, which is a really great deal considering the license and the normal price of this game. This game is based on the Pixar movies, and you get to race over 20 customizable characters from the movies on over 20 tracks, and it features 6 game modes to play in, including a battle race, and 4-player local co-op as well. So if you've got friends to play with, or family, or you like playing games at parties, then this might be a fun little game for you all to jump in and play with. Think Mario Kart, but with a different franchise. In the racing genre, you don't see a lot of games that have weapons these days. It's mainly Mario Kart and all the Mario Kart rip-offs, but at least this one's a bit different. It's not karts, obviously, because it's based on the Cars movies, but it's got some cool weapons and some cool locations from the games. Either way, it looks like a really cool battle racer with a really good franchise attached. So if you're looking for a racing game that's fun for all of the family, or good for parties, then you'll probably get a lot out of this game, especially at this price. So if you're interested, why not take a look? I'm sure it's a lot of fun if you like this sort of game. And hey, if you've never played a racing game before, then I'm not sure if you should start here. If you're into more serious or realistic racing games, then you should definitely start somewhere else. But if you're into more fun, cartoon, arcadey racing games with weapons and stuff, or you're a big fan of Mario Kart or similar games, then you'll probably really enjoy this, especially at this price. And if you like the Cars movies, there's a lot of fun to be had in this game. So if you like that, take a look at this. But if not, don't worry, I'll let you know when there's more races on sale in future videos as well. We have a really cool looking game next, Deliver Us the Moon. It was released in 2022, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the low price of £2.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for a cool looking game. This is a third-person adventure game where you get to experience a sci-fi thriller where Earth's natural resources are depleted, and after the lunar colony providing vital energy supplies for Earth goes silent, you are sent to investigate before the Earth dies and mankind becomes extinct. Now, I'm a big fan of sci-fi, and I like adventure games as well, so having an adventure game with a cool sci-fi story, and you get to explore an abandoned mystery base, it's just really cool to me. I like the look of this game a lot, and I'll pick it up at some point. Maybe not right now because I've got a lot of games in the backlog, but hey, one day, right? Either way, if you're a fan of third-person adventure games, or just adventure games in general, or games that have a cool story, or sci-fi in general, then you'll really enjoy this. I've had my eyes on this game for a while, it's got great reviews, it looks really good, especially for an indie game, it looks like it's got really good production values. So if you're as interested as I am, definitely check this out. I think this is a hidden gem, and more people should be talking about it. And hey, if you've never played a third-person adventure before, then you could definitely start here. It looks like a really cool game, and it's at a really cheap price as well. Although you can get big AAA games for about the same price or a little bit more as well. So you do have a lot of choice in this genre, especially in the AAA realm. There's a load of third-person action adventure games, especially things like the Uncharted series. So basically, if you really like the look of this game with the sci-fi thriller story, then check it out. But if not, there's plenty more choices, and there'll be a lot for you to choose from in future videos. So if that's the case, don't worry, I'll let you know when they're on sale next. We have an old school game next, Dragon Ball Xenoverse Time Travel Edition. It was released in 2015, so it's 10 years old, but I think it came out before that on the PS3, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £8.24, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal, especially as these sorts of games with big franchises are usually very expensive and they don't go that cheap very often. Especially as this edition includes all of the DLC, including 11 playable characters, and a ton of extra quests, episodes, and cosmetics as well. So you're getting the complete version of this game, with everything included, which is really cool. In this fighting game, you get to play a unique Dragon Ball story, where you get to create and customize your own character from 5 different races and 450 items, using them to adventure with Trunks, trying to restore the original timeline of the TV series. It features 6-player online multiplayer as well, although that's probably dead at this point, so don't read too much into that. Now, I know there's been some new Dragon Ball games out recently, and then there's Fighter Z, which was hugely popular, so you might not be that interested in this older game, but hey, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball and you've played them already, or you're looking for a more old school game, then you might really enjoy this, especially as it comes with all of the content and the complete version, which is nice. They really should do that with Fighter Z. It needs a complete edition at this point. You lazy Bandai Namco scummy company. Anyway, if you're a big fan of Dragon Ball and you like fighting games, you'll probably enjoy this, even if it is one of the older games. I know when I was a kid I used to play a load of the Budokai games, and I really enjoyed them. And there wasn't much difference between the versions either, really. Pretty much you played the one with the characters you liked in it. They didn't really up their game much in those days, but they were still fun because you liked Dragon Ball. Either way, if you're looking for a cheaper alternative to the newer games, why not take a look at this? If you're a big fan of Dragon Ball, you'll probably have a lot of fun anyway. So if you're interested, why not take a look? And hey, if you never played a fighter like this before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. It's a lot more expensive than some of the other games, especially the AAA ones, and it's pretty much one for Dragon Ball fans only, really. So if you're not a big Dragon Ball fan and interested in this game, don't worry, there's plenty more to choose from, and they'll be cheaper when they're on sale as well. So don't miss the videos, and then you won't miss out when they're on sale next. Far Cry 4 Gold Edition is our next game. It was released in 2014, so it's 9 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £8.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal, especially for a game of this quality. And this edition includes the Season Pass, with the extra campaigns, missions, weapons, and PvP content as well. So you're getting the complete version of the game, which is really cool, especially as there's a ton of extra content. In this open world FPS, you get to travel to Karat, hidden deep within the towering Himalayas, to fulfill your mother's dying wish, but on arrival you soon find yourself caught up in a civil war to overthrow the oppressive regime of the evil dictator Pagan Min. Now, in general, Far Cry is a legendary series, and out of this legendary series, Far Cry 4 is the legendary game. It's the one that everyone praises the most, and everybody absolutely loves it. So this is the one to buy if you've never played one before. They're not linked either. The story doesn't run through them all or anything like that, so they're independent. You can pick up whichever one you want, and you don't have to worry about that sort of thing. So if you're into first-person shooters and open-world games, or you want a first-person shooter that's actually got a story and a single-player campaign, then take a look at this. It's a really good game where you can do all sorts of crazy things, and there's a lot of fun in it. It's basically GTA first-person shooter. So if you like the sound of that as much as you should, definitely check this out. It's a really cool game from a really cool series at a fair price. So check it out if you like the sound of that. And hey, if you've never played an open world FPS before, then you could start here. It's a legendary series, and it's the legendary game within the legendary series. So even at this price, you're getting a really good game for your money. If you're interested in this genre, or you've been tempted by Far Cry in the past, this is the place to start. You can get other games a little bit cheaper, or you do have other options as well. But hey, this is the legendary one, so if you're really interested, take a look. You can't go far wrong, really. We have an anime game next, God Eater 2 Rage Burst. It was released in 2016, so it's 9 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £6.74, which is pretty good, especially for an anime game or games from Japan. They're usually a lot more expensive than this, and this enhanced version includes an additional chapter and a new Blood Rage mechanic, plus a DLC expansion and expanded game content as well. So you're not only getting the complete version of the game, you're getting the best version as well, which is really cool. In this action RPG, you join the God Eater Elite Squad on a mission to defeat the giant monsters called Aragami to gather materials from them to research. But you soon realize you are being drawn into a conspiracy that will decide the fate of humanity itself. Now, on a side note, this is a cross-buy game, which means you get the Vita version included for free, which a lot of people will laugh at, but the Vita's a really cool console, and getting free games for it is always a bonus. Back in the day on PS3, I used to get free games for it all the time. When I bought PS3 games, it was really cool. I hate the Portal, they should make a Vita too. It would be much better. I miss you, Vita, come back to me. Now, Japan and anime games are really famous for RPGs in general, but the action RPG genre is a newer sort of genre really. They used to have really old school ones instead, but the action one's the most popular one these days. In general, there's quite a lot of them, and I would say the biggest thing to choose between them is the franchise. If you're into the franchise that's attached to it, then pick up that one, but if not, you're better off starting somewhere else instead. Now, if you don't care about the franchise, then just pick them up based on the deal, and this is a pretty good deal. So if you're into the story, and you like the look of it, then check it out. But if you're not sure, or you like other franchises instead, there's plenty more choices, so skip this one if that's the case. And hey, if you've never played an action RPG before, then you could start here if you wanted to. If you're into anime games, then this might be one for you. But there are other games that aren't anime or Japanese in this genre, and a load more in the Japanese anime genre as well. There's a load to choose from, so basically if you're not particularly interested in this one, you'll have a lot of choice in the future, so don't worry about it. Take a look at it if you're interested, but if not, keep up with the videos and there'll be plenty more to choose from instead. Next up is Necropolis, a diabolical dungeon delved. It was released in 2016, so it's 9 years old, and it's on an 84% discount for the low price at £2.55, which is pretty good. In this third-person roguelike, you get to explore a procedurally generated dungeon full of evil enemy hordes, traps, treasure, and new locations to discover. It features 4-player online drop-in and out multiplayer, and item crafting as well, which is some pretty cool extra features. Now, this was made back when roguelikes were the gameplay genre. Everyone was making roguelikes. And this was a small indie game that impressed a lot of people. It was really good, and it got really good reviews from practically everyone that gave it a chance. So if you're into roguelikes, but you like third-person action games more than most of the 2D ones that you see in roguelikes these days, then you'll really enjoy this. It's a very different game, and very unique within the genre. So if you love third-person games and roguelikes, definitely check this out. If you've never heard of it before, you're missing out, and you'll probably love it. So give it a chance if you like the sound of it. And hey, if you've never played a third-person roguelike before, because there's not a lot of them really, then this is a good place to start. It may only be an indie game, but it's really cheap, and it's a really unique version of the genre. So if you're as interested as I think most people will be, then why not take a look at this? But if not, there is a ton of roguelikes to pick from. There's a load of different genres and versions of games in this genre, and there'll be many more to choose from in future videos. So if you're not interested, don't worry, keep up with the videos, and you won't miss the rest when they're on sale. We have another anime game next, Neptunia X Senran Kagura Ninja Wars. It was released in 2021, so it's 4 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £6.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal, especially in this genre. These franchises are usually much more expensive than that. In this action RPG, 2 warring ninja nations must put aside their differences and join forces to defend the world from an invasion of mechanical ninjas and finally prove who the superior ninja nation is. It features 10 playable characters that are a mixture of both franchises, so you do get quite a few characters to play as well, which is nice, especially as they have their own unique skill sets and abilities. Now, in general, these games are from pretty big franchises, and there's quite a few games from this franchise, and usually they're pretty good. Now, they are a bit anime, and what I mean by that is they have a lot of fan service in them, which is really cool if you're into that, and if you're not, or you don't know what that is, then don't worry, there's plenty more games for you to choose from instead. But in general, if you like action games, especially RPG games, and you're into anime, then you'll probably really enjoy this game. Especially if you're into the Neptunia or Senran Kagura franchises, or both, then you'll get a lot out of this game. But if you're just into action RPGs, then you might want to skip this game. But if you are, why not check it out? It may not be for everyone, but it's a really good game for people that enjoy this genre. And hey, if you've never played an action RPG before, then you could start here if you're really into anime. This genre has a ton of different games in it, so if you're not, don't worry, there's plenty of games for you to choose from. So if you'd rather pick up a different game from this genre, then just keep up with the videos and you won't miss them when they're on sale next. We have a weird game next, Octodad Deadliest Catch. It was released in 2015, so it's 10 years old. Yes, an entire decade. And it's on an 85% discount for the low price of £1.72, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really low price. In this very unique game, you must go about your normal family life while hiding the fact that you are an octopus from your family. Yeah, it's as crazy as it sounds, but it's a fun and wondrously bizarre game. Don't think too hard about it, just play it and enjoy it. Basically, he's obviously an octopus in a suit, but somehow he's had kids with a woman and his entire family doesn't know he's an octopus. But don't worry about it, like I said. Go with it, it's fun. Across the missions in this game, you have to go about his normal life, from shopping to going to weddings to just getting dressed in the morning. There's all sorts of stuff you have to do. But obviously he's an octopus, so he can't do things as easily as humans. It's a really quirky physics-based game where it's intentionally hard to control, and the physics of his interaction with the world is really odd and bizarre. It's a lot of fun. Go and look up some videos of it. There's some great playthroughs of this game with some funny channels. Either way, if you like funny, weird games, or just anything that's a bit different, you should check this out. It's definitely a diamond in the rough, and it's a lot of fun if you're into these sorts of quirky games. So if you like a bit of fun, and you like the sound of this game, check it out. It's a big laugh, I promise. And hey, if you've never played a weird, quirky octopus game before, because this isn't a genre, then you could definitely start here, because it's your only choice. Now, there are a few other games that have quirky physics and sort of jokey comedy gameplay like this, but this is one of the better ones, and it's at a really cheap price as well, so you can't go far wrong really. If you're interested, take a look. But if not, don't worry, there'll be plenty more games for you to choose from in more normal genres instead. We have a VR game next, Sniper Elite VR. It was released in 2021, so it's 4 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £3.74, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good price for a really high quality VR game. And this game has a lot of controller support, so move controllers are optional, but obviously it'll make the gunfighting a lot better if you have them. And it has aim controller support as well, which is the single best VR controller ever made. It's basically an assault rifle for VR. So if you've got a PSVR 1 and an aim controller, this is one of the games you should pick up. Not a lot of games support it, but man, it's a great controller and it works amazing in VR. In this first-person shooter, you get to fight against the invading Axis in southern Italy 1943, using stealth and authentic weaponry in an Italian resistance. It features an exclusive campaign with 18 missions to play through, with free movement, X-ray kill cam, and realistic ballistic physics as well. Basically, it's the Sniper Elite game you know and love, but in VR. And if that blows your mind as much as it does mine, then I'm sure you're as excited as I am. If you've got a PSVR 1, then this is a really good VR game. Especially if you've got an aim controller, you should definitely take a look at this game. You don't see many big AAA games with full campaigns, and this is one of them. So definitely check this out if you're interested. It's a really good quality VR game. And hey, if you've never played a first-person shooter VR game before, then you could definitely start here. It's from a massive franchise at a really low price, and it includes a load of controller support as well. So you can't ask for much more really. It's well worth your time and money, so take a look. We have a bundle next, South Park: The Stick of Truth and The Fractured But Whole. It was released in 2018, so it's 7 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £9.99, which is pretty good. But a bit of warning though, it doesn't come with any DLC. It's missing the season pass for the Fractured But Whole game, which means you'd have to shell out more money for that. Now there isn't a version that has that included and both games, which is really scummy. And just another side note as well, the first game is censored, and the only way to play it uncensored is to buy the PC version on PC, which is really lame. Why they're letting them censor it on PlayStation, or why they were forced to censor it on PlayStation, is ridiculous. It's a console that lets you play games where you murder people and torture people, and has horror content. I mean, come on, this is a joke. It's a cartoon game. Calm down. Anyway, if you're okay with that, in these RPGs, the first game you must arm yourself with weapons of legend to defeat the underpants gnomes, hippies, and other evils as well. Where in the second game, darkness has spread across the land, and you must create a superhero and work with others to save South Park before it's too late. Now, if you're a huge fan of South Park, then you'll love these games, and if you don't own a PC, then these are the only versions you can play, so they're your only options. If you're not a fan of South Park, or you don't have a sense of humour, especially a dark one, then you should stay away from these games. But hey, if you do, these games are amazing, and they're really good as well. They're actually good games underneath the comedy. The comedy's just the icing on the cake. So if you're into these sorts of game genres and South Park, you'll have an absolute great time. You really will. It's just a shame there's the censored version, and I don't know why they didn't include the DLC. That's really cheap and scummy. Anyway, you know if you like South Park, and if you do, check this out. Especially if you're a fan of these RPG genres, you'll have a ton of fun, I promise. And hey, if you've never played an RPG before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here, because you're getting a lot of game for your money, but you're not getting the DLC, and it's also pretty pricey. You can get other RPGs way cheaper than this, even legendary AAA ones, and especially Japanese ones as well. So you have a ton to choose from, and there's a load that are cheaper than this. So if you've never played the genre before, you're better off starting somewhere else. Especially then you don't have to worry about whether you've got the right sense of humour or not. But don't worry, I cover all those sorts of games, so just keep up with the videos, and you won't miss out when they're on sale next. Up next is my Star by Teslagrad Power Pack Edition, PS4 and PS5. It was released in 2023, so it's only 2 years old, but the original first game was much older than that really. I played it way back on PS3, so it's quite old, but this is the remastered version, so keep that in mind. And they're on a 90% discount for the low price of £2.44, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great price, as this edition includes both Teslagrad 1, the remastered version, and Teslagrad 2. Now, on a side note, you can get them cheaper if you buy them individually at prices I've seen in the past, but I'm talking about like a 6p difference, so it's not really a big deal. But you've been told, so don't say I, scammed you out of 6p at some point. These are both Metroidvania games, and in the first game you must ascend the long-abandoned Tesla Tower, utilizing the Teslamancer magnetic abilities to solve puzzles and progress higher, uncovering a conspiracy involving the despotic king who rules with an iron fist. And in the second game, after your airship gets shot down in the far north, you are forced to use your electromagnetic Teslamancer powers to fight for your life while exploring a long-abandoned tower and conquering ancient monsters within. Now, I'm a big fan of Metroidvanias. They're basically 2D platformers, but with really cool game mechanics, worlds, and story. They're basically like a level up 2D platformer, with really cool bosses as well. I played a lot of them, and I've completed the first game of this. Now, I haven't played the remaster, I played the original game back on PS3, and I absolutely loved it. I got it free on PS Plus back then, and it was a really good game. I wouldn't have picked it up otherwise, but playing it on PS Plus, I loved it, absolutely enjoyed it. So if you're a fan of Metroidvania games and you want two really good ones at a really cheap price, you can't go far wrong. The first one is a really good game, love it. And the second game's got really good reviews and just looks like a really good continuation of the franchise. So if you're into Metroidvania games, definitely check this out. Like I said, they're my star buy. They're well worth your time and money, I promise. Definitely take a look. And hey, if you've never played a Metroidvania game before, then you could definitely start here. The first one's amazing, and you're getting two for a really low price. Can't ask for much more really. Pretty much the only reason I'd say not to pick them up is if you don't like the idea of the story or the Technomancer magnetic abilities. But I don't see why not. They're really fun. Like I said, it's my star buy. If you're tempted, check it out. It's a really great deal. But if not, don't worry. There's plenty more games for you to choose from instead. And our next game is Wolfenstein Alt History Collection. It was released in 2020, so it's 5 years old, but the games are older than that really, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £10.99, which is a really good price, as this collection includes all 4 modern games of Wolfenstein The New Order, The Old Blood, 2 The New Colossus, and Young Blood. But keep in mind there's no DLC included, so 3 and Young Blood don't get the DLC. And that's a big deal for 3 because it's got extra story and stuff in the DLC, so that's really bad that that's not included. With Young Blood, the 4th game, it's a rubbish game, so it ultimately doesn't matter. But the DLC for the Youngblood game includes the Buddy Pass, which lets you play the multiplayer without the other person buying a copy. So at that point you'd have to look at, is it cheaper to just have your friend buy the game or buy the upgrade for your game so that you can play it cheaper? But that's your problem. The 4th game's garbage. I'm not going to look into that for you. If you're interested in this collection, it should be for the first 3 games, not the 4th one. The 4th one's just like a rubbish bonus you're getting. Just keep in mind you'll probably have to buy the DLC for the 3rd game as well, which is really bad. Why isn't it a complete collection? It's so stupid they didn't include that. Now, these are all first-person shooters, where you get to play the complete story of the modern Wolfenstein games, from the 1940s Europe to 1960s occupied America, as you fight the Third Reich throughout an alternate history, where Germany didn't lose World War II, and the Americans get invaded, and you're one of the last hopes for humanity to fight back. Now, these games are really good. They're pretty old school, which means forget all the multiplayer Call of Duty sort of stuff and just focus on really good story with really cool single player action campaign first person shooter. Now, these days, that's not what most first person shooters are, but man, they're the style I like. I really like the single player campaigns and story. They're a lot more fun than the boring online multiplayer. It's like when you've played one online multiplayer, you've played all of them practically. Trust me, when you get older, you get bored of it pretty quick. Anyway, if you're into first-person shooters and you like ones with stories and really cool gameplay, then you should definitely take a look at this series. And if you're interested especially, then you're getting a lot of games in this series for a pretty decent price, although you still have to pick up the DLC for the 3rd game. But hey, if you're into Wolfenstein, why not pick these games up, especially if you haven't played them before. I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun, and you're getting a lot of game for your money really. And hey, if you've never played an FPS before, then I wouldn't start here, because you're getting a lot of games for your money, and it's quite pricey. It's not considering what you're getting, but still, if you're going to start with one game, you might as well buy one cheaper one, and not have to spend so much money, and get a lot of games you're not going to play if you don't like them. But don't worry, I cover a lot of FPSs, so there'll be more to choose from in future videos. And the final game I have for you is XCOM 2 Collection. It was released in 2018, so it's 7 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the price of £7.49, which is really great, as this includes the War of the Chosen expansion, and the 4 DLC packs as well, so again an absolute massive amount of content, and it's a really great deal. In this turn-based strategy game, in a world under alien rule against impossible odds, you must rebuild XCOM and ignite a global resistance to reclaim our world and save humanity forever. It features 5 classes, research and upgrades, plus 2-player online multiplayer as well, although that's probably dead at this point, so don't bet on that too much. Now, in general, I love strategy games, and turn-based strategy is a lot of fun. You don't see a lot of games in that genre these days, and it's a shame because it's a lot of fun. And hey, this is one of the biggest ones around. It's a legendary series. It's been around longer than I've been alive, I think. And it's a really good series. is famous for being hard and difficult, but turn-based strategy is kind of difficult in general. Most strategy is challenging, and that's half the fun. So if you're the sort of person that loves thinking in games and having your mind challenged, then you'll probably enjoy this genre, especially if you like puzzle games and that sort of thing. All in all, if you're into turn-based strategy and you never played an XCOM game, then this is a really good game to play. You should definitely take a look at it if you're interested in this sort of genre, or just like the sound of it in general. It's a really good game for a really good price with a ton of content included. You should check it out if you like any of what I've said. And hey, if you've never played a turn-based strategy before, then you could definitely start here. It is a little pricey compared to some of the games I cover, but you get a lot of content included, and it's a massive game from a legendary series, so it's a really good place to start. If you've always been interested in turn-based strategy, then why not take a look at this? It might just be your new favourite game genre, if you give it a chance. And that's all the games I have for the New Year deals and games under £20 PSN sale. What did you think of the games I picked? Did I pick good games or did I pick bad games? And what about the style buy? Did it deserve it? Or should some other game have got it instead? Leave all your comments below and we can talk about it later. Anyway, I hope you found some really cool games to play, but more importantly I hope you saved a lot of money. I'll see you guys in the next sale. Au revoir.